to Fear Street.
Good evening, Hellions. I'm Jackedula. An elevator can be a terrifying place. Tonight's story is about a young woman who found that out firsthand. So stick around. We're about to enter Fear Street, where nightmares come alive. One evening, I was looking for an internet cafe because I needed to send a few emails. I spotted one in an old building. The sign said it was on the 6th floor. When I walked through the entrance, there was a dark hallway that led to a small elevator. I pressed the call button, and when the doors opened, I stepped inside. In a lot of Asian countries, many buildings don't have a 4th floor. The number 4 is considered bad luck because the word for 4 sounds almost the same as the word for death. The buttons in the elevator were 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. I pressed the button for the 6th floor. The doors closed and the elevator quietly began to ascend. When it stopped and the doors opened, I was about to step out when I realized that something was wrong. The hallway was in total darkness. By the light emanating from the elevator, I could make out random pieces of furniture covered with white cloth. It looked like it hadn't been occupied for decades. I thought I must have gotten the wrong floor, so I checked the buttons, but none of them were lit up. There was nothing to indicate which floor I was on. Just then, I noticed something moving at the end of the darkened hallway. I couldn't quite make out what it was, but it looked like a person dressed in some type of gown. The figure was moving slowly down the hallway, towards the elevator. It creeped me out, and in a panic, I started pressing the closed door button. All of a sudden, the light in the elevator flickered and turned off. I was plunged into pitch darkness. I was so freaked out, I almost wet myself. Just as I was about to lose it completely, the lights flickered and came back on. The doors closed, the elevator jolted back to life and began to ascend again. I breathed a sigh of relief. When the doors opened this time, I was at the internet cafe. I went over to the counter and told the girl who worked there what had happened. As she listened, her face grew pale. She said some of the customers and a few of her coworkers had experienced something similar. She had never experienced anything herself, but she told me about the history of the building. Apparently, the 4th floor had been a hair salon at one time. It was a prospering business until one of the women who worked there killed herself in the salon. Nobody knew the reason why, but she slit her wrists over the basin and bled to death. The salon continued to operate, but they were plagued by weird and inexplicable events. Sometimes, when customers were having their hair washed, the water would turn as red as blood. Other people claimed that when they looked in the mirror, they would catch glimpses of a ghostly figure standing behind them. When they turned around, there would be no one there. Because of these events, the salon developed a bad reputation and began to lose customers, and eventually they were forced to close down. The building's owner tried to rent the 4th floor out to other businesses, but when they found out someone had died there, nobody would take it. Finally, the owner reduced the price to nearly nothing, and it was rented by a businessman who planned to open a stationery supply store. However, when they tried to do some renovations on the floor, there was a series of mysterious accidents. The workmen's tools would sometimes disappear, only to be found in strange places. A large mirror suddenly shattered when nobody was near it, and a workman had his hand crushed when the elevator doors closed on him unexpectedly. Eventually, the workmen were spooked and refused to continue, and the businessman pulled out and left. The building's owner gave up trying to rent the 4th floor and just shut it down. He had the buttons in the elevator replaced, and it was reprogrammed so that nobody could go to the 4th floor. At least, that's what was supposed to happen. For some reason, when people took the elevator, it would sometimes stop on the 4th floor, and when the doors opened, some people would see a figure coming towards them in the darkness.